If you're clicking on this video, you've already seen the news. Jailton Almeida has been released off of a two-fight loss streak, I guess. What a weird career. And I have to say, I think I was kind of learning to love him in a strange way. When I started watching the sport, and for a good year or two in, I really hated Justin Gaethje. For some reason, I just found it so I guess repetitive. To just see a guy kind of do the same thing over and over again. You can you could pretty easily predict a lot of his fights just because he's not really gonna do much to change up how he goes about things. But eventually I kind of just learned to love him because it's that's kind of special in a way. It is genuinely admirable for a guy to walk into the fire into a terrible stylistic matchup and decide that he's going to do things his way and his way only. However, I don't really think walking into the fire is a good way of describing Jailton Almeida or why I even like him for that matter. I like him because he's bad, and I like him because he's boring. In a sport where people die young, you know, people lose their careers and disappear forever, right? The vast majority of people that get signed to the UFC go 1 and 3 and get cut. And even in those 4 fights, they took so much damage, they get injured in the fights or in camp, and they lose out on considerable chunks of their lives, and they will always have former UFC fighter or UFC veteran in their Instagram bios, right? It is a it is a very dreary life. And when the sport doesn't care about you, which it doesn't, and when the promotion doesn't care about you, which it doesn't, why wouldn't you be boring? Why wouldn't you just do everything you could? Why wouldn't you go up a weight class to just fight the fattest, sloppiest fighters possible? Because you could just take them down and sit on them for 25 minutes and collect a huge check. I mean, yes, it's boring, right? But I care about this being a sport more than I care about being entertainment. I mean, why don't they give handguns to NFL players, right? Obviously, it's an exaggeration. Please don't argue with that. That'd be ridiculous. But the point is that the more we do to make the sport fun, the less it's going to feel like a sport. I do believe that. Boxing, right? Boxing tried to completely get rid of clinching, and they have such weird rules about it. Because people just hated watching clinches. They hated watching clinch fights. The way boxing used to be, if you are a southpaw, you would never get a big fight because people thought southpaws were boring because they were outside fighters. Boxing doesn't feel, I don't know, it doesn't feel real. And with fighting, right? I mean, I make this the distinction, right, of sport versus entertainment, but it's more than that, right? MMA MMA prides itself on being combat, like premier combat, right? The quintessential who wins in a real fight kind of thing. Which martial art wins in a real fight is how it started. Every MMA fighter goes, dude, I would kill you in a real fight to a boxer or whatever. And like it or not, Jailton Almeida kills Terrence Crawford. He literally could murder Terrence Crawford with his hand. Sorry, no, let's pick a heavyweight boxer. Jailton Almeida murders Tyson Fury. Right? That's crazy. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating that somebody who's so boring that they got removed from their sport, from their company, despite being a very solid winning guy who's in the top 10. Um, could still actually just rip the rip the heads off of premier boxers of the same weight class or even heavier. It's just weird. It has to make you feel a little weird. And to be honest, I don't like you as a person if you feel nothing, if you feel absolutely nothing about Jailton Almeida getting cut. I mean, it's his life, it's his career, and dude, God bless him for managing to go this far, and frankly taking very little damage compared to so many other heavyweights. Are you gonna blame a guy who's going 10 for 10 on a contract to start hugging people or whatever? What do you think Jailton Almeida's contracts are now? Do you think he's getting big paychecks? I don't think so. I mean, I get that he's a lot of fights in, but no, it's hard. And should the paycheck justify all of this? Most people think fighters should be paid more anyways. Be honest with me, right? If um Volk fights like Ilia Topuria in a rematch, or Islam Makhachev, right? This is a great example. If Volk fought Islam in a trilogy and Volk won by just hugging and stalling against the fence for 25 minutes, I still feel like half the world would be celebrating because that's like funny and it's it'd be crazy and it's Volk. And the problem is Jailton Almeida. I couldn't even tell you if he speaks English. I couldn't. But there's like an inherent like negative status to your ability to promote yourself if your native language isn't English, or if people just don't think your native language is English. um I can't use the Mario Pinto example, that wouldn't be a great example. But there are fighters who you see them for their country, and that's, you know, not the end of the world, right? It happens. But when you do that, it's like I mean, you know, you just end up lumping Brazilian fighters together. It's not, it just happens. Um, and dude, I don't even think I've watched a Jailton Almeida interview. And the reason I've never clicked on one is because my instinct is like, okay, I don't want to listen to like 10 minutes of him talking in Portuguese and then 10 minutes of the fucking like awful translator like barely translating anything. He might speak English. Anyways, to get back to it, or I guess not that that was even straying too far away from the main point. It's just we should all feel weird. We should all feel a little bad, maybe even a little guilty. There's no pay-per-view money excuse anymore. There's no I'm paying $90 a month, which you're a fucking dumbass if you did that in the first place anyways. Now you're paying $8 and you get like 50 fights a week sometimes. Not a week, holy shit. Yeah, you get like 50 fights a month, right? If it's 10 fights a card and you theoretically get 5 cards that week or that month. Christ, I'm doing it again. But oh my god, and one of them's boring. Give me a break, man. I mean, nobody fucking complains that much about WMMA fights. They just call them bathroom breaks and like accept it. Can you just accept that Jailton Almeida fights are a bathroom break if that's how you have to be? And it's I don't know. This is silly, right? To sit here and argue that you guys should accept that somebody's boring, but maybe you should. It adds spice, right? It's in a weird way. It's why they do like flyweight fights and then a heavyweight fight and then a flyweight fight and then a middleweight fight or whatever. It's the contrast makes it interesting. In fact, do you guys even remember Shane Burgos versus Billy Quarantillo? I do. That fight was as good as Gaethje versus Chandler. The only problem is it was the fight right after Gaethje versus Chandler, and nobody remembers it. The crowd that was screaming their asses off for Gaethje versus Chandler was dead silent for Quarantillo versus Burgos. Well, that was a great fight because they were literally just winded. They just didn't have it in them. They're looking at that and they're like, I just saw 15 minutes of this. Commentators were fairly quiet too. It was a strange affair. But it is more than that to me, right? It's not, this is more of like my way of bridging how I feel to you guys. It's not, I'm not mad that Jilton Almeida's cut because I think that we need boring fights in the UFC to balance out the fun ones. That's silly. It's just I don't want him to be cut because the dude has a life and I'm just gonna assume a family. I mean, he's a 36-year-old Brazilian guy and he's a UFC fighter. He's probably got 20 kids. Could you actually stomach like the fact that the thought of this guy being cut for being boring when he's still winning fights most of the time? We should be blaming the guys he's losing to 10 times more if it's such an issue. I can't in good conscience be like, oh yeah, it's a great thing this father, you know, this guy who's probably solely supporting his family, again, not that huge of a reach, is being removed from the sport because the way he wins isn't enough for Paramount. I fucking hate Paramount. I hate the UFC. You should too. You probably do. Why would you support this? All this does is make me like Jailton Almeida. Like with Makayev. Do you not remember Makayev? What is the difference between Makayev and Jailton Almeida? You would be a fucking liar if you said Makayev was more exciting. You are a dumbass if you think Makayev was more exciting than Jailton Almeida. I don't care. Makayev wasn't. Oh my god. Yeah, he's a better wrestler because he's a flyweight. Sure, whatever. I don't. That's so stupid. Makayev had this allure that because he was Dagestani or whatever, that he was mauling guys. He wasn't mauling guys. He was holding people against the cage and then like slamming and then like getting like illegal back of the head shots on Tim Elliott and then getting a sloppy finish on him when Tim Elliott was winning that fight. Jaffa Filio fucking short notice tears his knee. Makayev's knee like in pieces. Alex Perez beats Makayev. Minel Cap broke his fucking toe in the first like second and then got pantsed and then Makayev like barely edges out a decision. And we're gonna spend like the next year and a half coping like, dude, why did Loner Kavanaugh get the fight against Brandon Moreno when it should have been Muhammad Makayev? It's because it's the same reason Jailton Almeida got cut, because you guys let this shit happen. You let Makayev get cut, and now you're letting Jailton Almeida get cut. No takebacks, guys. Feel bad. I can't ask you to fucking go out and protest about Jailton Almeida. I get it. The dude, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it. I'd be a liar if I said I enjoyed the actual fight, right? If you make them two silhouettes fighting each other and they just go at it, you're just seeing nothing, right? You just be seeing a blob of ink. But it's funny. It is conceptually funny and a little bit absurd that allegedly like these top 15 fighters in the world, right? These top 15 heavyweights in the world in the premier sport were just getting fucking mauled and couldn't do a thing. Here, let me what's the right word? Let me make another bridge from myself to you, on the assumption, right, that you hate Jailton Almeida. I will say this. There are a lot of guys that get accused of not fighting when in reality, like, they're still trying, right? They're using all of their fucking energy to do everything they can to, even if it's just to hold a guy down, right? The second they have an opportunity, they'll like, most of these guys will land, punches or whatever. They're just usually not very good at submissions, and so it just ends up boring. But Jailton Almeida was on top of Derek Lewis for 23 of a 25-minute fight, and he didn't really attempt anything. That was bad. That was really bad. And they kind of kept going from there. I looked at his last few fights, and it's, other than this fight, last fight was like against Volkov, like 9 significant strikes. Then another was like 4, then 1, then 4, then 6. It's pretty bad. It is pretty bad. But not bad enough to cut the guy, in my opinion. I don't know. I have a conscience about this kind of thing, because it is like a person at the end of the day, and we're all rooting for other people to give brain damage to someone else. I think it's only fair that we get a little bit of karma in getting a boring fight every once in a while. And I think if you can't really stomach that, you're a fucking child. Dude, oh my god. Can you conceptualize the like that he has like a life, that he goes home and that he loves his family? Can you do that? Well, what's the fucking argument anymore? Oh, I don't feel bad for him. He should have made me happy. He's a product. He's a service. He's a product. I'm the consumer. How fucking entitled are you for any of this? You can say that, but if you want to make that argument, there are 1,000 fighters that you are not entitled to, because you guys make the worst consumers in the world, because we let the worst dude ever run this fucking company into the ground. We're letting the apex go on fucking years after COVID ended. And we're talking about what we're entitled to as consumers. We don't do shit. we pirate most of the fights anyways. I can afford Paramount. I won't buy it. I don't care. It's literally istreameast.com and I get it for free. And I will never feel bad about that. How can I feel bad about that? When the UFC gets to cut whoever they want, when they get to cut Martin Boudet. God, there's more. There's more. Javid Basharat. I can't put him in the fucking thumbnail. Nobody knows who he is, unfortunately. Despite at one point he was like a top 13 bantamweight. His only two losses. He has two losses, and it's Ricky Simone catching him. Ricky Simone is good. He's not great, but he's good, and that was a huge fucking punch that would have put down a lot of people. And are we gonna blame it? And like, oh, and that's the thing. It's like, oh, well, this guy's boring. Okay, well, in his losses, he gets finished. Like, I mean, that's interesting. That is interesting. I think if you're a fighter who goes out and dies on a sword, I don't give a fuck if you're 3-3. If they're all finished losses, you're still exciting to me. But anyways, Javid Basharat, right? He gets KO'd, beautiful fucking punch. And then his loss before that was Eamon Zahabi, who just beat Marlon Vera. And Eamon Zahabi's good, and we have to admit it. He beat Jose Aldo. The dude got KO'd by Ricky Simone, and then who beat Merab. Let's say it, yeah. So his Javid Basharat's two losses in the UFC, many more wins, are a dude who beat Jose Aldo, and a dude who beat Merab. What are we doing? That was a fun fight against Johnny Velasquez. I enjoyed that. You know what made that fight bad? The fact that it's in the fucking Apex with an empty ass crowd because they're all these rich fucking schmucks that were so excited to buy Apex tickets. Fuck you. I hope you get scammed. Anything else noteworthy? Not really. I mean, to most people, Jailton Almeida getting cut isn't noteworthy in the first place. It's just that. I say. But it is just that. I think he's still worth remembering, despite being boring. Because he was just maybe not even a stepping stone. Maybe a lot of us were already there, but he definitely enunciated just how bad this heavyweight division was. And frankly, he probably contributed to a lot of this restructuring that we see going on, where a lot of these guys are getting caught or brought in or whatever, just in an attempt to make the sport more exciting. So maybe I'm right. Maybe this is like one boring guy gets added, but in the long term makes it things more entertaining, right? Even if it's not on a micro like card level where like he makes one fight boring and the next fight looks more fun. Instead, he makes 100 fighters look fucking shit, and so they get cut. But I don't even know. I don't feel good when anybody gets cut. I don't know. Think about it. That's all I have to say. Think about it. All right. Flanders Turk out. I have a few videos in the works. You should subscribe, by the way. Even if you think I'm wrong, I'm totally off my rocker. You definitely can't come away thinking that I'm stupid. Like I'm clear with how I think and why I think it. If you genuinely cannot relate to this mindset, you're you're probably stupid. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna make a spiel about why you should subscribe to me. If you will, you will. Have a nice night.